Hello. Hello, everybody. Great to be with you. I wanted to explore with you this evening the idea of deepening our conversations. You know, when you have a conversation with somebody and it goes really deep, or there's some deep connection, and it may be content, there may be some fascinating content of the conversation that you share, or there may be just a special moment and it feels really deep and meaningful. And I really want to explore that. Let's just spend a little time thinking about this. I'm going to read again a quote that really struck me in this book, Catafalque by Peter Kingsley here. And he goes like this: as well as Turkish, the name of this dance between people of conversation is called sohbet, S-O-H-B-E-T, the traditional name for the inexplicable closeness and pleasure and joy felt by the pure-hearted in each other's company. This is the reason why Sufis say there are three ways of being with the mystery: prayer, then a step up from that, meditation, and a step up from that, sohbet, or the supreme joy of mystical dialogue. He then goes on to say, to be drawn into the reality of sohbet is suddenly to have the direct experience that instead of just talking to some other human, you are speaking with a person like the dawn. And he's got that in inverted commas, a person like the dawn. If you Google this term sohbet, you get its use in Sufism and Islam for a kind of mystical dialogue, often as kind of religious dialogue. But what I think Peter Kingsley is hinting at, and what we can take from it, is that it doesn't have to be confined to religious, philosophical, mystical discourse. Because I think we've all experienced times when we can be with somebody. And here's the interesting thing. If you think about it, prayer and meditation engage the self. You're essentially on your own. You might be praying with other people, you might be meditating with other people, but it's essentially an internal activity. But this suggestion that a sort of deeper, higher activity involves engagement with another is extraordinary if we take that on board. And what I suspect is that every art, it requires cultivation. And we may have these kinds of connections with other people randomly. And you could argue that when you love someone, that's when you have that connection. You have those moments, those sort of delicious moments of connection. We may feel that we can't control when we have these experiences, but maybe we can. After all, the journey of personal development and of spiritual development is one that goes something like this. Look, we've all heard of peak experiences. You may have experienced, or you may have read about, people who have sudden expansions of consciousness, experiences of ecstasy or joy, or at a sort of gentler level, feelings of complete at-homeness in the world, feeling completely comfortable in one's skin, feeling soft and warm and open and loving and compassionate towards the world. These experiences may have come to someone at random, just suddenly you may have experienced these. But what spiritual teachings are saying, personal development is saying, no, you can cultivate these. There are things you can do to have more of these experiences so that more and more your consciousness is grounded in these positive experiences. And of course, we'll all go up and down and we'll have difficult patches and we'll have stresses and strains in our life. But the more we cultivate those levels of consciousness or those kinds of experience within our being, the more we'll have, and the better this will be not only for ourselves and our health and mental well-being, but for other people who come into contact with us as well. So given that's the kind of premise of personal and spiritual development, or a premise, we can then apply that idea to the idea of sohbet and a conversation. What if sometimes we experience these beautiful conversations and connections, but we can actually cultivate them? And so I guess the title for this topic is Cultivating Deeper Conversations. So that's just a thought that I'm going to turn around in my head over the coming days. How can one cultivate deeper conversation? And of course, the first step is intention, is just intending to have these kinds of conversations and perhaps maneuvering or arranging one's life so that they can actually occur. And then I think we approach a mystery, because it's something that we can't fully understand with a logical mind, because it's all about going beyond logic. It means going deeper. So with that in mind, let's go to this deeper level of conversation, if you like, right now in our meditation together. Let's see if we can drop down, or you may sense it as dropping in or going up even. Always feels like going down for me, but that's just how I sense it, going down and in. But strangely, when you go down and in, or deeper, when you go deeper, you also actually, I think, in the end, open out to something wider, which is rather interesting. And so if you're up for this, do join me in closing your eyes and just being aware of being seated here in front of your computer or your tablet. Fully present, here and now, sitting here. But at the same time, you're listening to these words, and there's an invitation. There's an invitation to connect at a deeper level. And there's an invitation to become aware of this group field that we're all in, the way that we're meditating together, and we're all over the world. And our consciousnesses at the moment are all focused on the same task of this meditation. And gradually you might like to imagine that you're coming to a clearing in the woods, or maybe you're already here. Coming into this clearing, being in this clearing. And this, in the Druid tradition, is called the sacred grove. And you find a comfortable spot. The ground is dry, and there might be a nice smooth stone or a nice log to sit on. And just become aware of the earth beneath you as you sit on the earth. You sense the slow, gentle rhythm of the earth. And as you tune in to the rhythm of the earth, it's as if you can feel your own rhythm slowing down. You notice how just being aware of being seated on the earth brings you a sense of stability and groundedness. And in fact, you put in your imagination your hands to either side of you, and you just put your hands on the earth, and you feel the grass or the soil or the rock. And it's a good feeling. And you sort of send your love into the earth. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. And then become aware of the trees. You sense how the trees around you are anchored in this earth. And the earth is providing the trees with stability too. And the trees are in deep communion with the earth, in deep conversation. The conversation is occurring at the level of the roots as the roots exchange information with the earth and with the mycelium, this wonderful network. So the trees are talking to each other from this point of view, exchanging information, exchanging energy. And of course, the water rising up through the roots, up the trunks. And you feel this energy flowing up into the leaves, and then the leaves are exuding all those wonderful perfumes. Maybe there are some lime trees in your grove, and so you can smell the lovely smell of lime trees. You breathe in deeply and fully, and you become aware of the sky above you. And you breathe in the energy of the sky, and the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And you feel connected to earth, to trees and the sky. And you might like to sense too the presence of some of us, all of us perhaps, or maybe just one other person, whatever feels right for you and whatever occurs spontaneously. One person with you, a small group, or perhaps everyone in a big circle, or even being on your own. But as you open to being in connection with one or more other beings, just allow this thought to drop into the pool of your consciousness without having to analyze it or think about it, but just allowing it. In this moment, what more do we need to be together? In this moment, what more do we need to be together? Just breathing in and breathing out and being present with one or more people together. And you might like to call to mind someone you know, someone you're fond of, someone with whom you feel you have a connection. And just imagine them being with you, a few feet away perhaps, sitting opposite you, sitting to one side. And just open to this feeling thought. In this moment, what more do we need than to be together? And then placing your hands on the earth, Become aware now of your relationship with the earth. And again, ask yourself, what more do we need to be here together? What more do we need than this moment, here, now, to be together? And then becoming aware of your breathing, breathing in and breathing out. Just allowing your awareness to expand to the sacred grove, to the creatures, the animals, the birds, any other beings who are in this grove. Just being together. And then gradually, knowing you can return to this state and to this place at any time, just allow your awareness of the sacred grove to fade as you become aware of being seated in front of your computer or your tablet or your screen. And when you feel ready, you just stretch your fingers and toes and open your eyes. I suppose one of the things that comes to me when I do a meditation like that is there's a part of me that lets go. There's a part of me that is striving for more conversation, more ideas, more love, more experience. And when I allow myself to just say, what more do I need? And of course, the answer is nothing, because it's here. You're here now with the person. Lovely to be with you all. I very much look forward to seeing you next week. Okay, lots and lots of love. Okay, bye.